What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Chicago Bulls and Philadelphia 76ers game reaction as the Chicago Bulls once again failed to compete in the second half, and we fall away against Philadelphia, making that losing streak now a 5-game losing streak. And you begin to see the frustration out of the Bulls players at this point in time, and all I can say is it's definitely very similar to how the fans are feeling at the moment. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls game today. Who was your player of the game and your overall thoughts and opinions on how the Bulls played? We lost the game 121-106, and it's kind of the same old song and dance as every other game. I mean, what have I already not said about the Chicago Bulls that we've seen in these games? What have I said that has not been shown once again against Philadelphia? I feel like the same problems are continuing to arise for the Chicago Bulls, but almost every single game now it's getting as bigger and bigger and bigger of an issue, and it's a bit frustrating to watch these types of games. I was very frustrated watching this game, and just by knowing who we're versing is the only reason why I'm not screaming and shouting about the game at the moment. Is because I know Philadelphia are an elite team, and I know these things that the Chicago Bulls do will benefit the Philadelphia 76ers. Maybe in a different game I would be very much emotional about it, but that frustration is gone because I can completely tell almost from the beginning of the game how it was going to go. So we're going to talk about the positives and the negatives for the Chicago Bulls. There's not too many negative, not too much positives, I should say, actually, to talk about in this video specifically. But the big positive, two takeaways, I actually thought we had a decent start to the game, but once again, it's those situations where we're trying to outshoot teams because we're not stopping anybody on defense. This stretch of defensive games for the Chicago Bulls has been extremely poor. The only real big talking point on defense was against the Milwaukee Bucks, and even then, when they turned it up, we could not stop them defensively. Today is the exact same conversation that we're having, where defense is not good enough for any team in the NBA. This is a very poor defensive team at the moment, with Vucevic, without Vucevic, with Lonzo, without Lonzo at the moment. We desperately need guys to come back, but again, it's not an excuse to not try defensively, and I feel like we do not try hard enough on defense. I feel like they talk a big game at the moment. They're trying very hard. They all talk about stopping guys. Again, a lot of post-game conference will be about trying to stop guys and all of these things, but they don't practice what they preach at the moment, and that's very frustrating to see. So we had 32 points in the first quarter, yet we gave up 37. So as good as our start was to the game, it only was defeated by Philadelphia's amazing start to the game and our lack of defense, and that is what really carried over into the rest of the game. Once again, the third quarter has been a big issue for the Chicago Bulls. Usually when we lose that third quarter, again, it's often known as the championship quarter. That's when we fail to deliver. That's when DeMar DeRozan didn't have a field goal. No one else really heated up outside of Zach LaVine, but it was just a frustrating night overall for any Chicago Bulls player. And the biggest negative to take away, definitely this one is the biggest. We have a serious fouling issue in this team. Too many players are trying to take the easy road out from guarding players by fouling. It's not good enough at all. Some of the fouls today that I saw were just lazy fouls, just take fouls and stuff of that nature. Of course, Joel Embiid gets a lot of fouls, and let's be honest, compared to the free throw percentages or the free throw shots that they took compared to us, I would say yes, we probably deserved a lot more free throws than what we got, considering that we didn't take that many threes and all we really did was drive to the basket. So I understand the Bulls should definitely get more free throws in this game, but Philadelphia got so many more free throws because we're giving them easy fouls. So many easy fouls, easy reach in. The Chicago Bulls need to learn how to play solid defense. They need to learn how to play hands-up defense. They are not doing it. I know many people will argue that the referees were at fault for the Bulls' loss today, but you have to be realistic. The Bulls keep fouling. They keep reaching. The reaching fouls is something that James Harden and Joel Embiid do a lot, where they riff through to try and go for a jump shot, and you put your hands in the cookie jar, you're going to get the foul call. Simple as that. So many unnecessary, unforced fouls free throw attempts for the Philadelphia 76ers, and you're never going to win a game when you're giving them around 30 free throws to shoot. It's not a good look for the Chicago Bulls, and I find it lazy and I find it unacceptable in many ways. We have to stop fouling these teams, and we do not do it. And I fear that when Lonzo and Caruso comes back, fouling is still going to be an issue because we have guys on this team that are wanting to take the easy route in terms of trying to stop these players. Not enough charges taken as well. I feel like there were a couple of times we could take charges in this team where it just simply didn't happen. We decided to once again to reach in and foul some guys. In the end, it was a frustrating game for all of those reasons. Really, it was a really bad game to watch. If you're a Bulls fan watching this game, I feel sorry for you. I was watching this game. I feel sorry for myself in many ways as well for watching a game like this and watching that frustration. The conversation of being the elite teams is still a present one up to this point, again, outside of the first quarter really, and maybe in the second quarter, I guess you could say, we had a good chance of coming back. I believe we were down by 6 points within that second quarter. Third quarter took it away. Fourth quarter took it away. And that question is still yet to be answered by the Chicago Bulls. And you saw DeMar DeRozan's frustration on the bench. You saw even guys like on the court just being frustrated in total about how the game went today. And I'm sure it's more than just how the game went. I'm sure it's how these last stretches of games have went, and it kind of manifested against the Philadelphia 76ers. It was a tough duo to beat. James Harden and Joel Embiid both had incredible games today. Maxey once again really got going in the second half. Tobias Harris is not the Tobias Harris that we normally see, but he doesn't need to be because there are so many threats on that team. And once again, we're letting role players carry the Philadelphia 76ers. When Joel Embiid and James Harden are not in the game or they're not having good stretches, you let guys like Niang be the guy to beat you. And these are things that the Chicago Bulls once again are struggling defensively with. You can't stop the best players, but if you can't stop the role players, what is the Chicago Bulls going to be when we do that? It's going to be ending up in a loss. So it's a 5-game losing streak for the Chicago Bulls. Where do we go from here? What's our next game going to look like? And once again, we can't take our next game lightly either, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But for the must improve of this team, again, I feel like it's a team issue more than just an individual issue. So I'm going to pick the whole team in terms of the must improve, because the fouls has to be reduced heavily in the next game. These refs, yes, I understand. I will 100% understand that people will say that we should get a lot of foul calls as well. For the life of me, I've seen 2 games in a row now where the Bulls and like Zach LaVine gets no foul calls. DeMar DeRozan is the only one on this team, maybe outside of Tristan Thompson, that gets foul calls on this team. And it frustrates me because Zach LaVine drives to the basket. He only really got foul calls in the fourth quarter. He even got a challenge overturned by Philadelphia from a foul. So things of that nature, yes, it's very, very frustrating. But it's two sides of the coins. You can be frustrated by the referees for not calling fouls on one end, but you have to be frustrated with the Chicago Bulls for giving up fouls on the other. And they are fouls. Don't say they're not fouls. They're fouls, ladies and gentlemen. That's how the game is played, and they're easy ones to call at times as well. So, yeah, a bit of a frustrating turn of events for the Chicago Bulls, and the must improve goes to the whole team for that situation. This is also a message that it's not just Nikola Vucevic's fault as to why we're struggling on defense. This hopefully can open a few eyes now as to why everybody blames Vucevic for pick and roll coverages and drop defense. It's the way that the Bulls team is currently just going in terms of the pick and roll. There's only once I saw a blitz on a pick and roll, and that was on James Harden, and it was a guard on guard screen, and he lost the ball, and it ended up being Philadelphia's ball. But that is something that we very rarely see, because all we really do is drop coverage. So again, it's not all Vucevic's fault. I hope people can now understand that, but at the end of the day, it's still not an excuse for Vucevic when he does play poor defense on the pick and roll. It's more of a team issue than just, I guess, a one individual issue, and that's something that does need to be changed as well. We need to see multiple coverages on the pick and roll. The player of the game, I mean, this is really tough. I'm considering DeMar DeRozan for this because he got close to a triple-double. He had over 23 points or whatever it was, 10 rebounds, 6 assists or whatever the stats were. Again, I didn't really look at the stats prior to making this video because there's no point in looking at the stats. My eyes saw everything I needed to see. So I'm probably going to pick DeMar DeRozan. If you pick Zach LaVine, he had a very strong third quarter. One of the only guys to really ever score in the third quarter, but whatever, it is what it is. I don't really want to go too much into this. I kind of want to end the video as we speak. The Bulls record, I believe, is 39-26. I believe that's our record. And Boston are now half a game behind us because of this loss. And considering how Boston are playing at the moment, they beat Brooklyn the other day with Jason Tatum's 50-point performance. And they've got a much easier schedule than the Chicago Bulls. So expect the Boston Celtics to make a heavy surge. And expect them to overtake us at some point in time during this season. I'm not saying they're going to finish above us at the moment because we don't really know how the season's going to go. Maybe Boston drop a game or two. Maybe the Bulls pick up a game or two where we don't expect it. But in these recent games, expect Boston to overtake us at one point, which is going to be another issue where the Chicago Bulls fall out of home court and we're going to end up versing some teams where we simply just don't have home court advantage anymore. And that's a big loss for the Chicago Bulls. But that's the biggest of our worries at the moment, because if we continue to lose the way that we're losing, playing is going to be a conversation for the Chicago Bulls. Until we get Caruso, Lonzo, Patrick Williams back, if they don't come back sooner than later, then we're seriously going to be at that point where we're going to be talking about participating in the play-in. That's something we were talking about last season for the Chicago Bulls. So we have to do better to try and win some games now. And the next game is a must-win game against the Detroit Pistons. But don't take them lightly, ladies and gentlemen. They've won 5 out of their last 7 games. So there is a worrying sign here for the Chicago Bulls, knowing that we've got Cleveland after that it's going to be a very tough, probably one of the hardest challenges that we face all season will be against Cleveland. They give us a good run for our money. And also, we've got the Detroit Pistons that have won 5 out of their last 7 games. So if we walk into this game thinking it's an easy win, it's an easy coverage, we don't have to try, even rest players, that is going to be a disastrous move for the Chicago Bulls. We have to win this game. We have to treat this as a playoff game. We have to treat this as our lives depend on it, because, again, our seeding, our conference, the way that we're playing at the moment, this game means so much to the Chicago Bulls. I can't emphasize it enough. If we go out, we have to make this game a blowout victory. We have to send a message. We have to win the game. Most important thing, if we lose to Detroit, we take them lightly. It's a really good sign the Chicago Bulls are not ready, because they're not treating every game as their life depends on it. They're playing to their opponent's level, and I don't think they're serious enough. This game will prove all of that if they lose it. We have to win this game. It's as simple as that. There's no other option. If we lose this game, there's no excuse anymore. We can't say we're versing great teams and we're not healthy anymore. Detroit are not a great team, and we are still a better team than them at this point in time. If we lose this game, we can't blame it on injuries. We can't blame it on people that are not here, and we shouldn't even blame these losses on guys that are not here, because that's just an excuse beyond excuses, in my opinion. There's too many of them going around these days. So I'm going to end this video here. I'm sorry if this is a ranty type of video. I am a bit of an emotional guy when it comes to these frustrating losses and stuff of that nature. But trust me, it will get a lot worse if we lose to Detroit. I don't think I'll be able to stay sane if we lose to the Detroit Pistons the next game. We have to beat them. It's getting to that point. It's desperation, it's inner motivation, and it's about competing. We compete first half, we don't compete the second half. These are conversations that the Bulls internally need to have with themselves on why they give up so easily, why they turn their backs on what they're going through in the first half, and how the adjustments that they don't make affects them. These are all internal conversations, because there's always that 1 quarter or 2 quarters in a game where the Bulls do not show up, and those are the quarters that hurt us the most, because when we're competing, we actually compete. When we're versing Philadelphia that first half, we're competing with them, we're fighting tooth and nail with them, and then 1 quarter we don't show up, and now we're down by 17 points, we're down by 20 points, and it's frustrating, and we can't play catch up every single time that we play basketball. It will not work out. This is something, again, I'm hoping that will be fixed with other guys coming and returning. But again, putting all my hope in those guys, it could simply backfire if they're not the main reasons that we're losing. If maybe it's something internally going on, if it's motivation, if it's lack of confidence, I don't know what it is, but things definitely need to change if the Bulls are going to be successful. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Our first 5-game losing streak. We've had a lot of great winning streaks. We've had a lot of tough moments, but this is definitely the lowest I've probably felt as a Chicago Bulls fan this season. It's nothing compared to last season. Last season was a really down moment for the Chicago Bulls, but I expected less. I expect more from this team now, considering how we started the season, how our record is at the moment. I do expect more from the Chicago Bulls. We got swept by the Philadelphia 76ers. So, again, we'll have to wait and see what we could do in the next game. I can't dwell on that. It's a really tough moment. Joel Embiid is still undefeated against the Bulls. We haven't beat Philly in 3 years. So, again, take all of these things into advisement and into consideration. Because if we verse them in the playoffs, it's not going to be an easy ride for the Chicago Bulls. But I guess I don't expect them to get swept now, do I? So we'll wait and see what happens. But if we keep on losing, we may just very well verse Philly in the first round. So we've got to do things, we've got to change things up really quickly now. Take care.